Welcome back to the table. So, in this episode of From the Archive, checking out something not 40K related. This is the classified field manual for the Dominion Marine Corps for the StarCraft universe. This was part of the Legacy of the Void's Collector's Edition contents, which was the Protoss expansion for StarCraft 2. But this is a Dominion, a Terran, a human book, which is the best way I think they could have gone about it. They gave us something in university and still have the artwork and whatnot in it. So basically, this is a really cool book. This is a setting very near and dear to me. StarCraft is a setting I thoroughly enjoy. It's really cool. And this book is a field manual book. It's kind of like the BattleTech tech manuals in a way. The back of this is different. Towards the end of the book, is more like a like story panels and concept art and whatnot. That's kind of like, hey, collector's edition book, but it's very in university for the majority of it, as if this is actually somebody's field manual from the Dominion Marine Corps. What I like about this is the way in which it breaks things down, because you get a lived-in feel. Like, you can see little writings in the margins here make it feel like it's lived in, like whoever is the owner of this book penned in some thoughts in the side margins, if you will. And what I like about this is we get a look at the units in StarCraft 2, but also from StarCraft, in a kind of a tech manual way. In this line art drawing, it's also reminiscent of the ships and vehicles of Star Wars, that book I did for the first season of From the Archive. I like this type of line art stuff. I like the penned in the margins, notations of stuff about the actual unit, the lore behind it and everything. It's just really cool. This is your basic Terran Marine. Cool armor, cool overly complicated gun. It's a Gauss rifle, but it also utilizes traditional gunpowder. It's weird. Not going to get into that here. But definitely not the equivalent of a Astartes at all. So don't get confused with that. But what I like about this is not only do you get the lore and everything, but you get kind of almost like in-game thoughts. Although not exactly accurate, but it kind of tells you what they're effective against and what they're ineffective against, which is cool. There's a little size chart, but all we know is the Terran Marine thus far. When we start seeing things like the Firebat and the Marauder, we can see, compared to the Terran Marine unit, we can see how big it is in comparison. It's definitely bulkier and whatnot, which is pretty cool. And then they also do, this is the Ghost, one of my favorite units in StarCraft. But anyways, they also do, I was going to say terrain, buildings. The buildings from the strategy game. So this is the barracks that you would build the Marine and the Marauder and stuff out of. And what's cool about it is this is a great kind of schematic if you were trying to maybe get references, not just in-game references, but artwork references, maybe building terrain styled after this. Now obviously I'm not saying that you need to do that for 40K, right? I mean, could it fit in the 40K? Yeah, but we're not talking about fitting this in the 40K. This is a non-40K thing. But still, it's cool looking. If you wanted to make something like that to represent a power generator or something, just in that design, you have a nice bit of reference here. You can see where cabling may go and so on, which is cool. And they do that for the command center and the bunker eventually and the factory. Just really cool to see. So we have all the Terran units, and this isn't just multiplayer units, it's also things that were in the campaign only, so that's cool. And eventually we get through all of it. They do infantry, vehicles, and then aircraft, and of course the classic battle cruiser right there. Not in classic design, but I mean classic insofar as a staple of StarCraft. And eventually we'll end up at the Zerg, but it's just really cool bit of like field manual art, if you will, and some lived-in margin writing. I forgot what I was trying to say there. It's just really a fun way to give us basically a line art book. So with all that said, there's a bunker. We get to the Zerg. And with the Zerg, the evolution masters that they are, we get to learn a little bit about them, and we get to look at an infested command center. And then we start seeing some Zerg units. And what I like about some of these penned in margin stuff is that some of it's kind of comedic effect, if you will. And that's always fun. Like, can't block these with your rifle. Lenny tried. Rest in peace, Lenny. Just fun stuff like that. I enjoy that in books like this. But this is another great resource for inspiration, the Zerg section. I've said it time and again, if I were to ever collect Tyranids, I would convert them up to be as Zerg-like as possible. And this gives you a nice insight into some units and what you can do to achieve that goal. This is the hatchery, it's the main building of the Zerg. Here's your spawning pool. You can easily use this as inspiration for a digestion pool for the Tyranids and stuff as terrain. So again, lots of inspiration here, but again, you also don't need to use it at all. You can just enjoy it for what it is, which is StarCraft stuff, StarCraft art. So we get to go through all of the Zerg stuff, including, you know, the evolution chamber and the mighty Ultralisk and all that jazz. And then we get eventually to my favorite of the bunch in terms of mostly. I find this is one of the games which I don't gravitate and stay towards the human faction. I still really like the human faction a lot, but I am a big Protoss fan, and that's what we're eventually getting to. So here we are with the Protoss, and learning about their psionics, the threats they pose, and everything else. And we get to see the classic Zealot. Then we get to go to the Sentry and the Stalker. And it's just really cool, again, drawings. I'm repeating myself, but it's just because I just really like this concept. And it's not like this is all we get. As I mentioned, we do get some colored art and everything in the back here, which I'll get to. But here we have the probe. I know the plasma sight thing from the Necrons was described as weirdly or oddly cute, which not at all. Can we reprogram these? I want one as a pet. I agree. The probe is the oddly adorable cute thing, for sure. Not that plasma sight cannot tech thing. Anyways, with that said, just a nice blending of crystals, psionic stuff, advanced tech looking, not organic looking like Eldar stuff. Still very clearly metal and stuff, and forged and whatnot, but just really advanced and just not looking like it operates like a normal building or piece of tech would. Really do enjoy it. The mothership and the mothership core. Some Dark Templar, some High Templar, an Archon, which everything according to this guy is magic. They try to describe hovering achieved by gravity displacement. It's like, just call it magic. It's totally magic. The Archon is very magic-y, for sure. But anyways, and here we go for a size reference chart. I like this. It's kind of like, is that supposed to help? It's just a blob. It's like, yeah, that's true. It's not very helpful drawing there. But anyways, I do like that we have this lived-in feel. It's not just kind of a sterile, here's information, but it's like somebody penned in notes, and it's lived in. It feels like you were actually part of the setting and not looking at it as a fan of the setting, although clearly we are. And once we get past all this stuff, there's an observer, there's a carrier with its interceptor drone, and all that jazz, Void Ray, Arbiter. We're going to eventually get to a ship that was the main focal point of Legacy of the Void for the Protoss campaign, and it requires a fold out because you're looking at the Spear of Adun, which is the closest thing to a craft world we're going to see in StarCraft. It's not as big, I don't believe. It's only 74-ish kilometers long, which is still huge, right? But it definitely doesn't feel like it's craft world big. But yeah, it is quite the massive ship for StarCraft stuff. And then we get into supplementary stuff, tactical information. Then we're going to get side art in a second. Here's talking about minerals, investing in gas. And here's unit scaling. So we get to see a real scale of stuff again, compared to other things to a degree, right? It gives us a decent sense of scale of how big these things would be, because in the game they're not actually scaled properly, because you have a really minuscule Terra Marine and an absolutely massive battle cruiser on the map, and it would be really annoying. So they didn't do that. And we get Zerg, and also seeing the coloration of stuff is also good inspiration for how you do soft fleshy bits, eye-like bits, hard carapace, hard armor, etc. Protoss for their size comparison, and then some aircraft. And this is just literally the tip of the Spear of Adun. That's how massive it is. So quite a big ship. Anyways, after we learn about some Terran faction lore stuff and Zerg and Protoss faction stuff as well, we eventually get to a bit of a timeline, rules and regulations. Again, more lore building basically. And then we get a nice little more self-evaluation that's filled in to get more character building, and a nice little message from the StarCraft creators, if you will, the collector's edition special message from the team. And this is where we start getting concept art and storyboard art stuff as well. Really cool, well done art. Blizzard always has very nice stuff, for sure. And it's just a really cool book that I don't believe it ever went for sale, but if it were to, it would be a worthwhile purchase. I'd have, if this was a book that they would have just sold by itself and not be part of the collector's edition, let's say, but came out as like an art book for purchase, I'd definitely pick it up. I like it. I think it's worth it. Really cool, kind of more concept and storyboard stuff, and just really well done art. So yeah, this has pretty much been the field manual for the Dominion Marine Corps, classified, part of the Legacy of the Void Collector's Edition. I'm a sucker for Collector's Edition stuff, provided it's not really just some type of cheap cop-out Collector's Edition. And Blizzard, for stuff for StarCraft and Diablo and Warcraft and all that, never really skimps on a true Collector's Edition. And I'm always a fan of their stuff, and this is a great part of it. So, are you a fan of StarCraft Universe? Do you have this yourself? I wouldn't go crazy trying to find it on eBay or something like that, but if you did stumble across it and it's not dumbly overpriced, as sometimes people try to price scalp stuff like this, it's a worthwhile pickup. Has nothing to do with 40K, but you can easily get inspiration from how armor paneling is, or even certain coloration, or Zerg for the Tyranids, or buildings to represent terrain. There's different type of terrain for you in 40K. There's definitely inspiration here for that if you so desire. But it's just a great bit of StarCraft art and lore. Huge StarCraft fan. If StarCraft had a true blue, legitimate, true blue is just a statement, like a saying, not a statement. But if they had a true, functional, capable, competent miniature war game with quality miniatures and the like, akin to a similar scale process as Warma Hordes or 40K, that type of scaling of things. If they had something like that for this setting, I'd be all over it in a heartbeat. And to my knowledge, they don't. So, bit of a unfortunate thing. Anyways, would love to see more done in the StarCraft universe by Blizzard or by license from Blizzard for stuff. It's just a great universe. What's your thoughts on it? Do you like it, dislike it, or what have you? And share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks so much for sticking through this ramble. Kind of went off on a gushing tangent there, but I just love StarCraft stuff, so wanted to share that. Anyways, that's it. So until the next one, take it easy.